Helping Seniors Television, all about improving quality of life for seniors. If you're a senior, know a senior, or plan to be a senior, then this show is for you. It's all about helping you develop your own aging plan so you can age actively and with dignity. Helping Seniors Television from the Helping Seniors Network of information, education, and resources.
So what we try to do is honor what Joe Steckler always wanted us to do. After all of his experience with the Brevard Alzheimer's Foundation, building up the Joe's Clubs, trying to make sure there was resources for seniors that had their families that were running into cognition troubles. When I met him 15 years ago, he was like, what I've learned is that we need that help, but we built that. Now we got to build an organization that can help every family, because not all families run into cognition issues, but all families do run into senior issues. And we need somebody that can help navigate them. So we call it Getting Your Ducks in a Row. And as you remember, we talked about 7 chapters in this. The first chapter is wellness, which is right why after we do the Knowledge College, we're going to come back and do wellness. And we have a great speaker, longtime friend of helping seniors. Her name is Tammy Lieberg. She is a let me see if I get this right, board certified geriatric advanced nurse practitioner. Was that close? So she knows what she's talking about. And she's going to share, she's got a brand new company, which I'm really excited about. It's called Senior Solutions Mind and Body. And one of her specialties, besides doing transitional care and like that, she really wants us to have a conversation about senior mental health and understand some of the challenges. Because we're always talking about, let's do our exercises, make our muscles strong and things like that. But we should be talking about things that are helping us on that level too. So Tammy is going to speak about wellness in our 11 o'clock hour. Chapter number 2 is your legal plan. So we have great folks like our friends from Rhodes Law, who always are great resources. We always have this corollary in our Get Your Ducks in a Row, which is don't try this on your own. You guys can tell horror story after horror story about somebody who had do-it-yourself documents, comes in, and then Ruth or Greg, they have to sit down and start from scratch, because when you make a mistake on a document like that, it's not cheap to fix, because you usually can't go, oh, we just forgot to check this box, because you can't at that point. So it becomes very expensive to work around. Number 3 is you got to get your financial plan in order. And that I'm going to come back and talk about this for just a second as we introduce Tisha. But one of the things we talk about is, they tell you have to have a plan. Like when you're going to school, what are you going to be when you grow up? That's your life plan. And then when you grow up, they say, well, what's your plan? Are you going to send kids to college? Are you going to get a second home? You're going to save for your retirement? What are you going to do? But there's another issue that happens when you retire. You got to start thinking about, we call it making an aging plan. I love the term that you guys are adopting in the industry. I said, I'm going to use this now because aging plan sounds like you live a while, then you die. What I like about this, they call it longevity planning. And that is really good on several levels, because hopefully we're all going to have good longevity. And then secondly, we need to make sure, because this is happening as people are living longer, we got to be sure we don't outlast our money. So there's going to be a lot of stuff we're going to talk about with that today. So chapter number 4 is making a stay-at-home safe plan. That's where you can get really, really good help from people who do kind of home services. Again, just like what you do, Jennifer Barton with Seniors Helping Seniors, or like you do, Liz Taylor with Touch of Excellence. You guys go where people are. And so that's an important part of the aging plan. And then senior living options is another chapter. Organizational and transportation is another. And then we kind of bring it home with Medicare Ducks in a Row. So it gives us 7 areas that we want to consider in an aging plan. And that brings us to our speaker for today. Tisha Hill see all those initials? You're going to tell us what those mean. But I know one is like wealth manager, accredited asset management specialist. And so this is somebody who has a lot of background in financial matters. She works with Raymond James. She's kind enough to volunteer her time on our Helping Seniors board as our treasurer and helps try to make sure that we're moving all in the right direction with everything. And so she has got a great presentation called Your Guide to Longevity. Welcome, Tisha Hill. You have a clicker, so you click the light.
I am not as rehearsed as Kerry, so I'm going to use my note. Thank you for having me. So yes, I have. I've been here since high school. I've been here since 1988. I graduated Palm Bay High in 1990. So the Space Coast is home, and I have been in this community my entire adult life. So I am very happy to be here. I love serving on the board and getting to know all the partners here. And it's just been I think it's my second or third year maybe. So it's been a really great experience. So welcome everyone. Thank you for joining us today. Today's topic is about you, defining your guide to longevity. We describe longevity planning as helping you plan today for the tomorrow you envision. We'll walk through the tools and resources designed to put more life into your retirement plan. But first, I want to mention, I joined helping seniors to expand my knowledge of the resources available to my clients, my family, and my friends. What I have found are amazing partners that I can tap in and refer to in areas of housing, insurance, and healthcare. If you're not already taking advantage of those resources right here at the center, I really encourage you to do so. It's been great for me. It's been great for just as a referral source to be able to help my clients, my clients' parents, friends, and family that are not familiar with all the resources that are available for seniors in our area. So it's been a really which button do I push? I'm sorry. Just the up. Nope, that down. Well, Jeff, I'm new. And now it's off. There we go. Bear with me. Sorry. I also only slept for an hour, so. But I'm here. So retirement isn't what it used to be. It's longer, it's more active, it's harder to predict, and it's more important than ever to plan ahead. Many of today's retirees can expect to spend 30 years or more enjoying the fruits of their labor, and global life expectancies are increasing. The United Nations reports that we're all living longer, and that's a trend that will continue. Projected 15-year increase by 2099. That's why it's increasingly more important not simply to plan for retirement, but to plan for your finances, your health, your legacy, and beyond. Two key considerations as you age are caregiving and housing. Caregiving is not just about who will help support you. It is also who you will help support or who you're supporting today. So let's dive a little deeper into some of these that you may not have considered. Income obviously is a big one. So that's where I come in. Healthcare costs, housing, caregiving, legacy, identity protection is a real big important one. Did anyone go to Scam Jam? I missed this last one. I hear that was amazing. Looking forward to the next one. Identity protection is a huge issue, especially in the finance industry and especially in Florida with our seniors. So we have so many protections in place. And we do continuing education all the time just to get better and better at spotting those. Care needs, of course, insurance. So you probably know a caregiver if you aren't already one yourself. Our friends at the AARP 2020 report showed that around 42 million people provide unpaid care to those 50 and older. For those specifically caring for loved ones with dementia or Alzheimer's, the Alzheimer's Association estimates caregiving amounts to more than 18 billion with a B hours of unpaid help. The average caregiver spends over half of an average work week on this unpaid labor, and all of that time takes understandably away from other priorities. The graph showcases a study done by AARP. Almost half of caregivers experience at least one financial impact due to caregiving, whether it be holding off contributing to savings, taking on more debt, paying bills late or not at all, or even borrowing from friends or family to make ends meet. Over a third of caregivers have two or more of these financial impacts inhibiting their financial freedom. As longevity planning specialists, we can help alleviate these unexpected financial burdens that come at the cost of taking care of someone you love. So obviously, no one has a crystal ball, but we have a lot of history and we have a lot of experiences with people that have gone through these things before and can identify areas that we can put things in place so that these issues don't come up. And if they do, that we have a solution. Caregiving for those with dementia requires additional levels of support. The Alzheimer's Association, like R2D2, The Alzheimer's Association estimates there are 7 million people living in the U.S. with Alzheimer's or dementia. So that you can see on the chart there, about 7 million people are living in the U.S. with Alzheimer's or dementia. 14 million Americans who are predicted to have Alzheimer's by 2050, and about 16 million Americans who are caring for someone with Alzheimer's. I have also served the last, I'm on my third year for the Walk to End Alzheimer's for the Space Coast, and it's just been fascinating and overwhelming, really, to hear all these statistics and how there still isn't a cure. We finally have medicine in place, for early detection, but we have a long way to go. Preparing your home for living longer often goes overlooked. 1% of the U.S. 1% of U.S. meets the 5 basic universal design criteria recommended for aging in place, but 80% of older adults want to stay in their homes. So that's a big issue. Obviously, our friends and our partners that are that help with assist with housing know these statistics. About 2/3 of adults age 65 or older have difficulty walking or climbing. Over 30% of adults age 65 or older suffer falls each year, and 70% of long-term care claims begin at home. So these are all things that, obviously because of statistics, that we can put things in place. So now that we know what lies below the surface, let's put your plan to work. Our approach to longevity planning is focused on helping you answer tomorrow's big questions today. As an advisor, I can serve as your center point. I've been called quarterback, or, kind of the central person that people can come to ask questions. I've had clients call and ask me for help buying a car. I mean, it's just all over the place, but that's why I enjoy being part of the community so much too, because I've lived here so long and I know so many people. If I don't know an answer, I know how to find out, or if I don't take care of it, I know who to refer to. So that's been a huge benefit. So I can serve as your center point, guiding you through the important questions that make up a longer retirement. And since we all have different ideas for how we'll spend that time, I know your path will be uniquely you. So let's consider some of the questions. Will your money last your income? Will your money last your lifetime? How are you protected from harm? How will you receive the care you need? How will you spend your time? How will you give what you've gained? And now we're going to dive into each of these categories just a little. So to help you plan to meet your goals, we leverage an innovative, interactive financial planning software that enables you to explore a wide range of potential scenarios and solutions, from estate planning to long-term care and healthcare options. As I mentioned, we know fraud and identity theft are rising concerns. That's why we partnered with resources that work to empower you to protect yourself and your loved ones. Raymond James is proud to work with EverSafe to help you protect your money, credit, and identity. EverSafe can help keep you safe by monitoring your bank and investment accounts, credit cards, and credit reports for signs of suspicious activity, and is on guard 24/7. This is a service I offer to my clients. You can pay for it, but if you're a client of mine, I pay for you. EverSafe has a consolidated family dashboard, an extra set of eyes feature, specialized protection for seniors, identity theft protection, and much more. So you can add a family member or a caregiver or a guardian so that they have eyes on it as well. So it's not just you, not just me, but you always have someone in your corner. As longevity planning specialists, we understand the costs and commitment that come with caregiving. Whether you're seeking care support, serving as a caregiver, or partnering with loved ones for family care management, our resources help you navigate every aspect of health and wellness. Retirement doesn't mean closing the chapter on your life's purpose. Instead, it's an opportunity to redefine it. I tell my retired clients they're the busiest people I know. I have a lot of small business owners as clients that are still working and raising a family and all that. And then my retired clients, they are just as busy, if not more. Is my time up? Instead, it's an opportunity to redefine it. So this might include an encore career or volunteering for causes near and dear to you. If you're not sure what makes your heart soar, ask yourself, what activities do I enjoy and how do I stay connected with my community? What are my personal goals? When do I feel most fulfilled? We can help guide you through each facet of your life, including your post-retirement years, and connect you with resources that prioritize your well-being and happiness. And that's another reason that I also love being part of helping seniors. Ikigai is a Japanese concept meaning a reason for being. It is comprised of two words, iki meaning life and gai meaning worth or event. In English, it can be translated to mean something to the effect of the reason for which you wake up in the morning. In the culture of Okinawa, it is believed that everyone has an ikigai and it is personal to every individual. So some potential ways to thrive might be outdoor activities and exercise, like walk with the doc or some of the other events we have going on, multi-general connections, having your kids, grandkids around, of course, if they're not local, FaceTime and Zoom and things like that have made that much more convenient. Continued learning and encore careers, and of course, volunteering. We're always looking for volunteers here, aren't we? We're always looking for volunteers here. We have some wonderful. A legacy is so much more than what you'll one day leave behind. It's about passing on cherished memories, sharing your stories, and helping instill your values in future generations. It's about creating a gift that extends far beyond your wealth. Your journey continues. Your future is too important to leave up to chance. Together, we can create a longevity plan that'll help you confidently step into the tomorrow you envision. That just the end of it. So obviously, I did not do a bunch of statistics and charts and graphs and go into all the finances. Most people know as a financial advisor, that is what I do. I am always available for a second opinion. I'm always available to, help to see if you have other ways of maybe getting some more income. My information's over here. I do have, I just got in some jar openers that have multi-use. Feel free to grab one. It has all my information on it. And also have some handouts for some of the information that I went over today. So there's no questions. Thank you.
We'll let you off the stage. Let's ask, do we have any questions in the audience? I'd like to recognize attorney Greg Schwendeman with Rhodes Law, who just joined us. He gave a great presentation if you were at the Scam Jam and talking about the top scams that seniors are found out to. Now, so here's maybe a question, and Greg, feel free to come on up because I'd like this to be a little bit of a discussion. But we say, as we mentioned, when we talk about an aging plan, right, there's two core concepts that are very upfront. Health and wellness is always number one, because if you can keep that part in order, you can always work on everything else. And but the second thing we talk about so much is getting your paperwork in order and not doing it yourself, but getting somebody who understands this. But you guys are very close on this because it's hard to do the paperwork if you don't understand the finances, and then vice versa. You've got to have both parts. I just want to throw you both in the deep end of the pool and let you talk this out.
Thank you. What we do when we plan, and it's just that, and Kerry knows what I always refer to it is hurricane planning for your life. Because in Floridians, we see a hurricane coming off the coast of Africa. We have time to prepare for it, right? We have time to go out by our water. What we do is the same kind of philosophy of prepare for whatever disaster may strike you in your personal life. And that is done through working with you to draft the trust, the durable power of attorney, healthcare surrogate, and other documents. And we need to get those in place. But what we do is we take a team approach. Everybody's different. But for example, we would reach out and we would work with everybody, your financial planner, your insurance agent, everybody, bring them onto the team so we know exactly what your circumstances in life are. Because I find far too often people accumulate assets little by little as they age, from the time they get married in their 20s all the way up, and now all of a sudden you're 70 or 80. And people many times don't even realize they have a lot more than they think. And that needs to be protected. So I look forward to working with everybody, all the professionals in the community.
Yes, Karen.
But actually, so both are so extremely important. Does financial assistance come first, or does putting your paperwork in order come first? Tisha.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
I can take that. I think so. I kind of mentioned that, well, obviously we don't have a crystal ball. So, but I did mention that every situation is unique. So I do have some clients that get to a certain point and I refer them to an attorney. And let me tell you that working with CPAs and attorneys makes my job so much easier. We don't draft wills or anything, or trust or anything like that. But we obviously want those documents in place for our clients because it just makes everything so much easier and cleaner. And it really helps your heirs as well. Having those documents, and I've sadly lost 5 clients in the last year, 4 of them to age, but one of them unexpectedly. And there's accounts that don't have beneficiaries listed or, things like that. They weren't with me. They were outside assets, but it's so important to have those documents in place early on. But I guess to your point, it because every situation is unique. I think everyone should probably have a durable power of attorney, a living will, a healthcare surrogate. There's a certain point that you would need a trust. So I don't know, unless you think differently.
No, I think a trust. One thing I'll address on that is I have a lot of clients who say, I don't need a trust. That's for Rockefeller or, some billionaire. A trust is not based on your wealth. It's simply a legal document that helps protect your assets. And most of all, with all of the other documents that come under that umbrella of the trust, such as the durable power of attorney and healthcare surrogate, it protects your wishes. Okay. But one thing I will say is if you want to waste a lot of money and eventually give a lot of money to an attorney like me to fix the problem, do it yourself. Save the money now because your heirs don't need it later. And I'm being a little bit facetious, but I can tell you that if you want to really have a bad outcome, the bad outcomes that I have seen are when people try to do their own documents online. They buy a form in Office Depot or things like that, right? Or they go to a non-lawyer service. I'm sure you've seen those signs around town. So don't bother seeing these providers, healthcare providers over there. You could go to a non-surgeon and get the same quality of work as you can at a non-lawyer. And it's like when you go online, please don't buy your own insurance online. You're not going to get the right coverage, and you'll probably get price policies that are way out of whack. You need to speak to an insurance professional like Vicky, or same with investments. There's too much going on. Please talk to a professional. Sorry, that's my shameless plug because I'm tired of seeing legal fees of $100,000 to fix a $250 problem.
Do it myself. And although I cannot give legal advice, I can give personal advice. And I can say, I'm not really sure that that's in your best interest. And I would suggest that you let me send you our listing of lawyers and you check one out. And the same way with you can try to take care of your own financial, but it's been my experience that it's much more easier when you have someone in your corner that's looking out for you when you're not looking.
Two comments to add into that. One is a story I remember Ruth Rhodes of Rhodes Law, where Greg is part of that entire organization. And I remember her telling the story. It's not just that you have to be careful about the documents that you might, you see all those commercials, do your own planning in 15 minutes online. And, you get paid a lot of money to sort it out when those documents don't work. And like we've talked about many times, you don't know they don't work until they have to work, and there's no chance to redo them. But she told the story that even a client of hers had actually come in to the office because they had like a family friend attorney. It was actually like a criminal attorney who had helped, said, I can write this paperwork up for you. And then Ruth was like horrified when she saw it and had to go to all kinds of excess steps to get it straightened out, and ended up having to lecture that attorney. You can be great at criminal law, but you don't know this part of it. So you have to find the right.
Yeah, it's like that. I'm sorry. I had a case exactly like that where a person had a friend of the family who did not practice elder law draft their documents. Now, they, like Kerry said, they were a fine attorney in their area of law, but the law, like medicine, has become very specialized. You're not going to have a heart surgeon work on your brain, or eyes and ears, and you name it. You need a specialist, right? And that's what we are. We only do elder law. We do not do criminal law. We do not do real estate law. We know elder law. And like Kerry said, the example I had, the fella needed a durable power of attorney, which he thought was a fairly common document. He doesn't know, the attorney who drafted it did not know that Florida requires what are called superpowers. And by the time the property had to be dealt with, the owner of the property had dementia, couldn't do anything. The son had to get involved. And to fix that problem was $100,000. And that's when I referenced before. He tried to save money doing it cheap, went to a friend, and it ended up costing $100,000. And that's just not one example. I can give you litanies of examples like that. And today, and I'm going to let you answer this, if you try to do your estate, not estate planning, your financial planning on your own, you are going to be at the mercy of major institutions. If you think, well, I hear my brother-in-law did some day trading, good luck with that. Okay, I'm smart enough to know I don't day trade. I don't do my own investments. I leave that to a professional, because there are computer programs and artificial intelligence and everything out there that are trading at lightning speeds that you cannot match. And they have information you do not know, but your investment professionals do. So with that, I'll give it to you.
What he said.
Well, so when Joe Steckler, who was the founder of Helping Seniors, I remember talking to him early on. He said he used to do a television program when he was building up the Brevard Alzheimer's. There was 3 people I wanted in the room, and you guys are 2 of the people. He said, when we have talk about senior issues, he said, there's 3 things I want to talk about. I want to have an elder law attorney, because people don't know the paperwork that they need to have and how much stress it can put on you when you don't have that paperwork. How many family squabbles can arise out of not having the paperwork. In fact, I've joked with Greg many times. I said, why do you want to bother doing these seminars and educate people? You make a whole lot more money when they blow it and then have to come into you for help. I said, really, it's like not the best business plan. You would want to get it when they're in trouble. But really, they spend so much time trying to educate people because they don't want to see people get put through those horrible situations. The second person that Joe would always have in is a financial advisor, because the problem is we don't know enough to know even the right questions to ask. Like when you sit down with people, you said you would work with CPAs and elder law attorneys and whoever you need to make sure you're crafting the best plan. But we wouldn't even know if we do this. Like I've heard this, we've talked about this. Oh, I'm just going to sign the house over to my kids because they're going to inherit it anyway. And boy, that can throw a monkey wrench in it. Talk about how you work to protect that person so that it's not just for them, but it's for what they have in mind down the road too.
Right. So the whole idea of leaving a legacy is obviously you want to be able to leave something to your heirs, but you don't want to kill them with taxes. So that's where trusts and other documents can come into play. Not giving your house and all that, so that you don't run into legal issues and tax issues. And honestly, one of the most heartbreaking things for me is I repeatedly get somebody. I had just in January, somebody from Harris called me. He's 62. He wants to retire in 2 or 3 years, and he's been managing his own accounts. And hopefully he'll be able to retire in 2 or 3 years. But, I have a lot less to work with because the market's really smacked him. And he just was way too aggressively invested for his age and what he wanted when he wanted to retire. So the earlier, yes, you can do it yourself. Anybody can do it yourself. Should you? Probably not, unless you love it and you have time to devote to it. That's what specialists are for. We take a lot of time and spend a lot of money getting, licenses and continuing education and all that kind of stuff for a reason, so that we are expert in our individual field. I don't want to know all the tax laws. I don't want to know all the legal mumbo jumbo, the right word, all that stuff. I'm the numbers person. But like I said, if I don't know how to do it or I don't know the answer, I usually know where to go to fight. So
And that's the core. It's like in the old days, they used to, who's in your Rolodex? Nobody, who's in your contact list now. But the third person that Joe always talked to, and this may surprise you, he always wanted a funeral director involved. And his reasoning for that was that people will put off thinking about this whole thing. Like, you think about your legacy, you want to be here forever. And, depending on your belief, maybe you will be. But the point is that you want to have a plan, because it's not just about you, it's about your loved ones. And I wanted to ask you a little bit too, because Joe always used to say this, if you love your family, you're going to put these plannings together, because it is about you, but it's really about what you have in mind. So there's no squabbling later on. Everybody understands clearly what's going on. Talk a little bit about the value of that too.
Absolutely. So one of the things that we do is, and I kind of mentioned multi-generational time together with, to help you in retirement with your free time, but also with your finances. I have a lot of my clients that will bring in a son or a daughter or a brother-in-law or something like that, depending, if they're widowed and things like that. So that there's not only, again, another set of eyes and ears, because they may not retain all of the information in that meeting. So they, that also helps later on down the road. But then if they are also the heir or the beneficiary, it helps for them to know everything's in place, so that when the time comes and their parent passes, they know where the documents are. They know how to reach me. I, of course, if they're the beneficiary, have their information, but I'm not going to know right away like they will when their parent is ill or passes. So it really helps them too. It gives them peace of mind knowing that everything is in place. They're not going to have to run around and find documents or worry about taxes, because it's already been, they're not going to pay tax. They're going to pay some taxes depending on what the assets are. But that everything's already in place and that the documents are in order. So that's a huge benefit to having family involved.
Now I can't remember which one of you guys brought it up, but about, I'll just gift the house to my son now, and that way I can avoid probate or what have you. That is a horrible idea. Horrible. For a couple reasons. Number one, I want you to love your children. I want you to love your children with all your heart. I don't want you to ever trust your children. Ever. And I don't want you to trust your children's spouse even less. Okay? Because I have seen cases where the really tight family, as soon as mom or dad passes away, they start attacking each other. And what's even worse is mom and dad sometimes don't even pass away, but they've put the house into the child's name. And I get a call that says, "Oh my God, I cannot believe my son Johnny wants to put me in a home. He wants to kick me out of my own house." It's not your own house. You gave it to him. So now you have to go into a home, right? How are you going to pay for it? Because if you try to apply for Medicaid has a 5-year look-back window, and they're going to say, "Oh, well, you guys were trying to commit Medicaid fraud." Don't do that. With proper planning, the government, I want you to realize the government, they're a little bit shady, right? I'm not going to go into criminal law here, but the government's a little bit shady. So what they do is they let us play a shell game. They give us the rules for the shell game, and we play the shell game according to what the government lets us, because there are both income and asset levels for Medicaid. And with proper planning, working with your financial advisor and your attorney, and the shell game that the government lets us use in trust planning, we can get your income and asset levels to the point where they're acceptable to Medicaid. That way you keep your house, you keep everything you have, and you qualify for Medicaid that'll help pay for an assisted living facility should you need it, or perhaps other benefits that are out there should you need it. And we can also set it up on a generational trust, which is what my wife and I have, so that it goes my wife and I to our son, to our grandchildren, to our great-grandchildren, and it's all protected as much as possible. There's never a guarantee, but it's all protected as much as possible. Even if, let's assume 30 years from now, my son gets a divorce, that ex-wife isn't touching what I've built up. So planning, planning, planning.
That actually comes back to Joe's point was if you get those three people involved and do your planning with properly on the legal side, you do your planning properly on the financial side, and you do your what do they call it, pre-need planning with a funeral director, it's going to really, I mean, I guess you guys would both agree with this. This really creates peace in the family because there's no, well, mom would have wanted that, dad thought this, or, you know, whatever's going on. And you get into the middle of a lot of that if people haven't gotten that part pulled together. I'm saying that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm Joe Steckler. Thank you for joining our program today. I'd like to remind you that our senior information line is available to you at 321-473-7770. There you can get help and direction that could be helpful for your specific situation or circumstances. The work of helping seniors is very important, but we can't do it alone. That is why our sponsors here in Brevard County are so important. I'd like to thank our many area sponsors, businesses, and medical providers who support the mission of helping seniors that help us carry the cost of our media efforts. If you'd like to join us either as a business partner or simply donate as an individual, we welcome your call at 321-473-7770. You are always welcome to visit our website at www.helpingseniorsofbrevard.org. Thanks so much for your help. It does make a difference.